Well, our guest is here, so we might as well bring Brad in.
Yeah. And we're going to get
Bradley.
to the bottom of the Scrubs look.
Well,
there he is.
Now I got to go back and listen to Tell Your Vision.
Tell Your Vision was kick ass, man. That's not that old of a song.
No, that's like, that came out like 10 years ago. Dan, we've done a few since then.
Man, I can't believe it's been that long.
I think I was listening to you guys. It's just too much fun because I got to tell you, Don't Tell Me You Love Me is definitely my favorite because, we hit that one hard. We kind of do something cool, break it down in the middle, do a little something on top of it to spread it out a little bit. It's so much fun to play. These solos great to play, and the audience gets off on it so much. So, if you want to ask my favorite, Don't Tell Me You Love Me.
Hey, Brad, one of the big things that I love so much about the band, like I talked about back then, is the melody versus the heaviness. And then, of course, at that time, it was you and Jeff Watson, an incredible duo. How did you guys determine back then when you were working on these songs how to break up who played what? Because there was so much cool stuff, much like you do now with Kerry Kelly. But back then on those early records, his style versus your style and the trade-off and the harmony stuff was such a cool element of the band. How did you guys divvy that up? How did you make those decisions?
Well, basically, I kind of, I would go from the get-go. I want to play this. And Chuck would go, I want to play that. And then we go, I want to play this. I want to play that on the same song. So what do? We do a harmony. We both do the harmonies, or we do trade-off solos, Eddie's coming out tonight. Classic example. I do the solo, but then I do the first run up, then Jeff does the second one, then me third one, him fourth one, then we solo out together. We just had so much fun back in the studio back in the day in the 80s. We partied a lot, but when it came down to doing solos, I looked after him and he looked after me. Basically what I'm saying is we kind of egged each other on to get out the best of each other because we knew our potential back then and we knew that it was going to be a great record. And, I would sit there and just go, come on, Jeff, do it again. And the producer, Pat Glasser, would go, no, that's good. I go, no, he could do it again. And Jeff's like, yeah. And he'd do it again. And all of a sudden it would get better and better. And that's, we needed that back then because we didn't want this big ego going between Jeff and I. And, but we had totally two different styles. So, which was awesome because he did what he did and I did what I did. And when you hear the records, you pretty much know who's soloing in it. If it's me, it's him. But, getting together, we kind of wanted to go with that Allman Brothers, Judas Priest, double harmony, Leonard Skinner, whatever. We wanted to do that on the record, but make it more, just melodic rock, not too heavy. We wanted to make it commercially viable. So we really had a blast with those records, but then the song "Sister Christian" came around, and who's going to do the solo on that? And I thought, me. And
why did you know immediately it was going to be a hit?
Well, you got to realize we had a lot of songs for the first record. We didn't, we only wanted to put a certain amount on the record and save the rest of the songs for the second record, but we wanted to put Sister Christian on that first Dawn Patrol record. But the record company came to us and said, I think it's we don't want you to be one of these, freshman first one record bands, come out, you do well. And the second record, pooches out. So their idea was to hold off and to plant that on the Midnight Madness record, which was a great call on their end because it sustained our viability and took us to that totally next level. And then we had to write new songs for the second record. And then, Jack and I went in and we did Still Rockin'. We wrote Still Rockin' America. Then all these other songs started coming together. But the 1-2 punch for the Midnight Madness record was You Can Still Rockin' America and then Sister Christian.
Sister Christian was around for the first record? It was that early?
Yes, we saved that for the second record. And it was a good call by the record company. Because it really worked for us. And I'll never forget, when we came out with Don't Tell Me Love Me, you got to realize MTV just came out 24/7 format. They didn't have enough music videos to fill that void. And what did they do? They played Don't Tell Me Love Me 25 times a day.
That's how I found you guys. Yeah.
It was super awesome. People maybe got tired of it, but it got embedded in their brains, you know. And of course, radio we were all over radio with, you know, Nationwide Hit and everything. And you know, we did put out "Sing Me Away" after that. Did a video. It didn't really do that well. But the thing was, we got lucky on touring. You know, after I did my stint with Ozzy, and of course, Rudy Sarzo quit to go with Quiet Riot. Boom, over the top. And then I quit towards the end. Boom. Speak of the Devil with Ozzy and Dawn Patrol with Night Ranger were both released the same week in late 1982. So Album Network magazine, at the very bottom, of course, you guys know Album Network is a trade magazine that went to all the radio stations where they would look and see who's playing what, who's getting the most phone-ins and the best songs to play on the radio, because that's what was taken off. The very bottom of Album Network magazine, their 2 picks of the week was Speak of the Devil, Ozzy Osbourne, Night Ranger, Dawn Patrol. So that was, for me, it was like, oh my gosh, I had 2 picks of the week on that. And, you know, it was a beautiful, beautiful period in my life because, you know, playing with Ozzy was a wonderful thing. It was very scary. A lot of drama, you know, just, you know, the tragic death of Randy Rhoads, me stepping into that. It was freaking heavy, man. And to be able to get back with my boys and Night Ranger and to release Dawn Patrol, come out with Don't Tell Me You Love Me. And then what did we do? We went out opening for Kiss. So that wasn't bad either. So, you know, and then now it's 40 years later, man. And, you know, we're still doing it. We had a great summer. That Bret Michaels Party Girl tour was absolutely awesome. We did, you know, an average of 8,000 a night. And that's, you know, we didn't know what to expect. And it did very well. And have Sugar Ray coming in there, do a couple of hits. And, you know, Steve O'Jerry and Jefferson Starship opening up. And the big jam at the end of the night with, you know, Sweet Home Alabama. And I was the lead guitar player for that when everybody came out. And I love to jam. I've been jamming with bands. That's one of my most favorite things to do. But it's been an awesome year, man. And now we got this new orchestration record coming out. So never a dull moment.
Hey, Brad, getting back to the Ozzy thing real quick. Were those Dawn Patrol songs already written when you were playing with Ozzy at the time?
Yes, they were. Those we started writing those songs when we got together in around 1980. I'll never forget the day going up to Jack's house in San Rafael up in Marin County, north of San Francisco. And, you know, Jack and Kelly and I stayed together after the Rubicon, the 2 records with Rubicon. And then we kind of went through a couple things, a band called Stereo, where we kept the Jerry Martini, the saxophone player, and Rubicon. And that fizzled out. But we wanted to get back to our rock and roll roots. So Alan Fitzgerald, Fitz, our keyboard player, who had played with Sammy Hagar and of course Ronnie Montrose. And he had quite a little career already. You know, Fitz pretty much said, hey, man, I got this guitar player from Sacramento, totally different style from you, Brad. You should bring him out. We'll do this double harmony. And I wasn't into it. I thought, why do I need this, right? And I remember Jeff coming out and seeing us play. And then, you know, basically what we did, after the show, when he watched us play as Stereo, which was kind of weird, and he thought the band was weird, I'm sure. Jeff and I got together, and I ended up going to his house and hanging out with him for like 2 days. we got to be best friends, man. I thought this guy's great. Him and I were pretty much we got a lot. We had the same, you know. We just gelled, you know. We just the meeting of the minds, you know, partners in crime, I should say. Yeah. And then when we got together around 1980, we got together up at Jack's house, the 5 of us, and I swear in one day we wrote like 6 songs, man. And I remember "Don't Tell Me You Love Me" was halftime. It was, you know, where the chorus, "Don't tell me you love me, don't tell me you love me," halftime. "Don't tell me double time," goes back to the double time, right? Well, the whole song was halftime, and we brought it up. Hey, man, let's just double time it and bring it halftime in the chorus, and that really put the fire into that tune. So we kept those songs together. We started going in the studio and recorded them. Gary Peel from, you know, Sammy's band, and, you know, played with Boston. And he had a lot to do with, you know, helping us record these first demos. And then, you know, we got together with Pat Glasser, our producer, and he funded us actually recording everything correctly in a big studio. And we were able to hold on to those and wait for a record deal. We had a hard time getting a record deal back then because it was tough. But because a lot of our stuff was pretty heavy. And so I put a band together called the Alameda All Stars, and I would just go around and play the clubs in the Bay Area because Night Ranger I should say, didn't want to play because nobody knew who we were. And there was no reason to go out and play for 15, 20, maybe 50 people, just to, I mean, it's embarrassing, when you're just playing, you're trying to get a following. We wanted to get a record deal and hit it big time. And after my stint with Ozzy, when things were winding down, we got an offer with Boardwalk Records. If I were to leave Ozzy and rejoin Night Ranger, there was a record deal in hand, and so like I said, Rudy quit and then I quit, and boom, we went in and finished that record, did whatever we had to do to finish. It was almost done anyway, whatever little remixes or maybe a solo or two. I don't remember. It was 40 something years ago, but so we released that, and then wow, just came out with a bang, touring with Kiss.
Yeah.
No makeup.
And then, hey, going back to Sister Christian real quick. Obviously, I think most people identify Night Ranger with that song. And certainly, how did the Boogie Night? I'm the only one who had it in their top 6, by the way, because their lists are always wrong. But how did the whole thing with Boogie Nights come to pass?
Well, I got to tell you, we really had nothing to do with any of these placements and we've been in so many movies. They just pretty much say, hey, they want to use your movie, the song in the movie, and great. It's like you get excited, but we had no control on that. The music supervisors would go in and pick that song to fit that movie. And of course, our song was thrown into the pile to be able to pick and release. And boy, when we saw Boogie Nights, it was kind of crazy because we felt like we'd been in that guy's house before.
That's one of the greatest scenes in a movie ever. It's in my top 3 favorite scenes.
Little too close to home for you guys, Brad.
Yeah, in fact, we won't go there, but yeah, it was the 80s. It was a decade of decadence and having a lot of fun. But we had a lot of fun, but we knew when to stop, when to control ourselves, and not. It was always when the time was right. You have fun, whatever. But that song was great, and I don't know if you've seen. There's remakes of it on Family Guy. They do this. You got to look up Family Guy, Sister Christian, and they redo the Boogie Nights scene on Family. It's freaking hilarious. And you remember the movie? The guy's going, "Oh, I love the song." He goes, "Dun dun 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 dun." He's doing his hands up and down. He goes, "Motor," and in the movie, well, the Family Guy scene. He's in the drug dealer's house, and he's, "Oh, I love the song." Tequila. Oh, wrong song. McFarlane doing a spoof, but and we just had a song in Air, the movie, the Michael Jordan movie. They took all the biggest songs from 1984, and Sister Christian was one.
Oh yeah, I saw that. The movie about Nike, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
So,
that was a good movie. I like that. That was good. I think it was on Amazon or something. Yeah.
Yep.
Is it true you were asked to be a stunt double in some of the porn scenes in that movie? I heard something about that.
In Boogie Nights?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't tell people because they use only my lower half, but that's okay. You saw my other movie, Return of Donkey Man. You've seen that one?
Many times. Many times.
Hey, Brad, you know what I was always curious about? So I've always kind of half jokingly called you the king of the whammy bar because the way you use the tremolo bar is such a signature part of your sound. And I've always loved your playing, your tone. I mean, I love the way you played the Sabbath stuff on Speak of the Devil, obviously all the Night Ranger stuff. Where did that element of your playing come from? Like, where was the influence of that, the usage of the whammy bar and how you use it and where you use it and how often you use it? You've made it such a signature of your playing. Where did that come from? Where did that influence come from?
Well, it started when I had a 57 Strat back when I was about 18, 19 years old. And, Jeff Beck was out and doing a little bit, and Hendrix was using the bar and this before Eddie Van Halen. And I couldn't keep that thing in tune, man. I could not keep it in tune. back then you didn't have some of the tools that you have these days, like this nut sauce you put in there that keeps it loose, it slides through the strings.
Nut sauce, does that tie in with your porno career?
Big Ben's nut
Yeah.
sauce.
Is that part of the Donkey Man?
Backstage when Return of Donkey Man. But I couldn't keep it in tune. And then, of course, 1978 with Rubicon, and we're actually heading, March 18th, 1978. Rubicon is heading down to the Cal Jam 2, man. Biggest day of my life. 250,000 people. Aerosmith, Santana, Dave Mason, Hart, Ted Nugent. Great day. But anyway, that's right about the time when Eddie Van Halen came out. And I remember, we're driving. I'm pretty sure we're driving down that gig, or right around that time, and Running with the Devil came out, and then got the record, and it's all this his dive bomb that he'd do, right? And I always wanted to be different, and wanted a Floyd Rose. So basically, I here in the Bay Area around 1979, right after they came out, and this Floyd Rose became popular, I found out there was one available at Don Weir's Music in San Francisco, and it was the number 3 Floyd Rose ever built. And he made these he made like 25.
Brad, let me just stop you right there. For the people like me and others that don't play guitar, explain what a Floyd Rose is.
Okay, a Floyd Rose is a tremolo system that replaced the tremolo whammy bar that were on Stratocasters mainly, and a few other guitars, but the Stratocaster mainly. Les Pauls didn't have them. They were straight up ridge, but this whammy, that little bar that sticks out, is the whammy bar. Now, I couldn't keep my Fender whammy bar in tune, so this guy named Floyd Rose from Seattle, Washington, came up with this design, this very case-hardened steel solid one that you could replace and put on your to replace your Fender whammy bar. And also you'd have to, at the end of the neck where the tuning pegs are, you need to route in there to put this nut on there. And the nut, these 3 pieces come off, the strings slide through, and then you clamp, each piece clamps 2 strings out of the 6 strings on the guitar to clamp that unit in so it would not go out of tune. Absolutely amazing idea. And he's done very well with it. So so
no more nut sauce, Brad?
I'm using some right now, speaking.
But that was a game changer Brad, that was a game changer for guitar players, that Floyd Rose system, right? Because that enabled all of these players like yourself to take using a whammy bar with a lot more confidence that it was going to stay in tune.
Exactly. And that's the whole thing, is staying in tune. That was the hard part. So Eddie Van Halen had the first one. They gave Neil Schon number 2, which he never used. I'm trying to get back from him. He says he's never used it, and it's in his garage somewhere. I said, I'll come over and help you look for it. Anyway, so the third one was available at Don Weir's Music. I wanted it. I had to have it. I went down there and I traded a 1978 Les Paul Custom for the very third Floyd Rose ever built. And Don Weir's Music, their repair department gave me new frets on the red Strat that I still use. And they added a 22nd fret on the end where they cut off the last fret and extend it and give you an extra fret, which allows you to go from a high D pulling up to E. That's tech talk. Anyway, so they did Floyd Rose and the fret job and the extra fret for the Les Paul, and everybody, what are you doing? You're stupid. Why? And I said, well, I think it'll pay off someday. So when I got that and got it working and acclimated with it and got it, I was able to, start working and get it down. Eddie was doing his dive bombs, and I started fiddling around and hitting harmonics, which is where you put your fingers slightly over certain frets on certain strings, and it gets this high harmonic tone. And I started hitting this harmonic and take my whammy bar out, and I started pulling it up, going, woo-ee, and then shaking it at the very end of the song. So I used that on the very last note of my solo, and Don't Tell Me You Love Me. That's what you hear, me hitting a harmonic, bringing it up on my Floyd Rose whammy bar and shaking the shit out of it, right? Now, back then I used to look in the mirror and try to, get my stage moves down, which every guitar player has done. You look on stage, you look at, yeah, right? And one day I started banging on my guitar, and I bang it, and all of a sudden went, fuck is that? I hit a note. And then I found it. I kind of went to the end of the whammy bar, and I hit a note and flicked it and went, and I called it my cricket sound. So very last two notes and Don't Tell Me You Love Me. And I go, oh, actually, it's 4 now. I go, wee. So those are all, those two ending segments there are Floyd Rose antics that I created and put on Don't Tell Me You Love Me solo.
Did you think that would become your signature?
I knew I had to be different and try something new. And I just, how do you cut above and around the crowd with so many great players, man? You got to realize you had your Yngwies coming out, and you had your, Richie Blackmore's and Eddie Van Halen and your Hendrix, and all these great players are coming out. And I had to be different, man. And you could play, around solos and people go, oh, that's so-and-so. Oh, yeah, that's so-and-so. But I wanted something that people would definitely go, oh, that's freaking Brad Gillis. You know what I mean? And I really worked on that being my trademark sound. So that being said, 1984, 85, roughly what it was, Ronnie James Dio did the We're Stars, the Stars video song, right? And we all went down to LA. Everybody was there. Every guitar player, all the best of the best were down there. So I had to stand out of the crowd. So I did a whammy bar harmonic solo. And out of these 16 solos, which is probably 7 minutes worth of guitar solos, my little 30 seconds or whatever it is, I want it to be known that that was me, and people know that. And because of my trademark style, and I was able to, cut above that crowd. So I throw those trademark solos in the whammy bar, pulling up and around and hitting flutters and wang bar stuff. I try to throw a little of that in each of my solos so people know it's me,
Hey, Brad, before we run out of time with you, because we got to wrap here in a second, tell us about this new record, because you guys went in and did something that a lot of rock bands have done over the decades in different ways, and made a record with an orchestra. I've heard some of it. It sounds really cool. Tell us about how that idea came about and what the experience was like of working an orchestra into Night Ranger music.
Well, we had all definitely wanted to kick that off our bucket list because, that's something we had never done. Of course, all these bands had gone out and done it. In fact, that Cleveland Youth Orchestra, they had the Jefferson Starship and Pat Benatar, Neil Giraldo do it. Styx did it with the same orchestra, that type of thing. And with those guys, so we were able to get in roughly around a year ago and go in with these kids from 12 to 18 years old, the best of the best around that area, the Cleveland. And I think it was 80 plus kids. And we popped in there, and they learned with their conductor. They learned a couple of weeks in advance parts. And our keyboard player, Eric Levy, went in and helped them with, keyboard parts, translating that to orchestration parts. And we went in and rehearsed it a couple of days with them to get it right. And we did this live show, and it was absolutely awesome, man. Unbelievable. It came out sounded great. Everybody's looking good. These kids are looking great. Brian Isley from Center City Films in Philadelphia, who did a few of our videos, he filmed it all with a 12 camera shoot, and it's just amazing. And we can't wait for it to come out. I think they've already released a couple songs, but I think it's October 20th is when the actual DVDs and all the different formats and worldwide release for these. I think it's what's it called? 40 years with the Contemporary Youth Orchestra, or whatever it's called, something to that effect. But we had a blast doing it, and can't wait for it to get out there, because it just adds this extra little nuances and feel, with an orchestra, and they do a lot of intros to songs, and which is like at one couple points, Jack and I are turning around watching them, going, "This is cool." And we have this nice LED video screen in front. With Steve Coker, our video guy, came in, and man, it's just awesome, different, cool, something new to release, and we could write that one off our bucket list.
Yeah, Go ahead, John.
Sorry. Did you guys nail it in one show, or did it take a few shows to get it down?
Oh, it was one show, man. Just
one show. That's it.
Right, man. It was tough. we didn't run around maybe as much as we usually do because it's hard to get tight when you're running around and doing crazy stuff. But we made it happen, man. And it was a lot of work. And of course, our bands, we're pretty tight. We've been playing so much that, our show's pretty tight, but hooking everything up with the orchestration band. Then we do our little drum solo. All the band comes in and plays a drum solo. Then we're going back and forth with the orchestra's percussion guys, and they're playing solos and we're playing solos, drum solos. It's amazing. I'm looking forward to getting it out there and everybody watching it because it's definitely something new for this band. And at this point, at 40 years later, it's great to do something new and exciting.
Yeah, it was actually Tommy Shaw that did it solo. It wasn't Styx, because I had Tommy on my radio show to talk about it, and Tommy just went there himself. Yes, and he just had the orchestra around him, and he did all, whether his solo songs or Styx songs. It was really cool, and those kids just nailed it. So the stuff I've seen from what you guys did was great as well. Do you guys want to get to the throwdown? You want to do that with Brad?
Yeah, let's do it with Brad.
Yep. This versus that, everybody.
What's happening?
Oh, that's right. The this versus that. What am I saying?
Yeah, whatever.
We have huge graphics budgets, Brad. So this week we're going to do best Ozzy post Randy guitar player, Zakk Wylde versus Jakey Lee. And you're going to weigh in at the end, and you'll be the deciding vote. But we'll start at the top of the heap with Eddie Trunk. Who do you like better? Who's the better post Randy guitar player here?
How come Brad's not an option? Why are you being disrespectful to the guest?
We're being very respectful to him.
I just did a live record. That's good enough for me. But you guys vote.
Come on. That's disrespectful, man. My vote's Brad Gillis. Come on.
We left him out.
we couldn't fit him on the screen. We can only fit three pictures.
Yeah, look at his arms. He's huge.
He only did the one live record. I get it. So, okay. So we're not including Randy. It's stuff after Randy.
Sure.
Between these two guys, I mean, I love the stuff that Jake did so much. And I love, obviously, Zakk. And because I love them both equally, I have to give the nod to Zakk because Zakk has done so much more. Jake's whole body of work with Ozzy is 2 records. And, Bark at the Moon, they're both great records. I thought the second record got a little too polished sounding, a little more too much keys for me, which they all agree with. They'd like to remix that, but who knows? But, the Bark at the Moon's insane in the solo and everything. But when you look at what Zakk did, I mean, there's like 4 times the amount of records. There's live records. There's way more tours. There's just a way bigger body of work. So I consider them both so close that I'm giving the nod to Zakk just because there's so much more to dig into.
Yeah, I get the same opinion as you, Eddie. Jake only did the 2 records. I mean, Bark of the Moon was a great record. You're to follow up for Diary of a Madman, big shoes to fill. But, yeah, he only played on the 2. Yeah, and the production on Ultimate Sin wasn't great. Yeah, I know Ozzy didn't like the production on that.
It was great for its time. It was Ron Nevison, who everybody on the world wanted to work with because it got radio play. And he did get radio because Shot in the Dark was a huge song. How crazy is this? Shot in the Dark is the last song on that album. When has it ever been that the last song on a record became the biggest song? But Shot in the Dark, I mean, it's funny. Not to go down a whole world here, but everyone wanted to work with Ron Nevison at this time because of Heart and all the success he had revitalizing them and how he got bands on the radio. And now, flash forward 40 years, and everybody's like, I want to remix the Nevison stuff because it was too synthed out or it was too sounded of its time. But he did exactly why he got work then. He delivered exactly what he wanted to. But I agree. I'd love to hear that record remixed.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll go with Zakk, my pick. Don?
Yeah, well, to me, that both guys did 2 classic Ozzy albums. I know Zakk did more Ozzy albums, but I think, if you really zero in on the best of the best, they both did 2 classic albums. So maybe right there, I could have them tied. But I mean, I just think for the overall image and, look at him. He's a barbarian, everything, the intensity of his playing. And all that stuff. I got, and like Eddie said, there are live albums to take into account. And So yeah, we got to give it to the Jersey boy in the end, Zach Wilde. But it's all about the love, Brad. We love them both, but you can only choose one.
Well, I got to tell you, man, No More Tears. That song is so awesome. Him doing the slide on there and getting those squeals on his guitar. I mean, that blew me away. Now that when it goes that orchestration section in the middle, that's okay, but it seems like it didn't really have to be there. But his playing is awesome. That's one of my favorite Ozzy songs of all time, except for the first two records with Randy. So I got to go with Zach. I've met him a few times, hung out with him, nicest guy in the world.
Father Gillis.
Jakey's a great player, man. Those are great records, but that tone and the stuff he did, along with his great solos and the slide work that Zach did, is just awesome. So I got to go with Zach.
The thing about Don, you brought up image. I give the nod to Jake when it comes to that, because Jake, at that time, my God, he had the look. I mean, I don't know if anybody heard this story, but that gig was supposed to go to George Lynch, and George Lynch had the gig.
Yeah.
But if you ever saw the video for Breaking the Chains, which many have, the first Dokken video, George is wearing like a weird two-tone mullet haircut. And the story goes that George had the Ozzy gig, and they decided at the last minute, let's just also audition this guy, Jake. Jake walked in with the hair. Remember, this is 83. Hair out to here, the whole look. And before he even plugged in, they were like, that's the guy. The era of MTV, the look, the image. So Jake, beyond his playing, which is extraordinary as well, had that look at that time that nailed it for him. And he was great on stage too. I just am giving Zach the nod because of the body of work is so much bigger.
And I would love to have heard because Jake had told us on that metal show that the solo at the end of Bark at the Moon was actually much more complicated, and it wasn't just that one repetitive part, but they basically told him, or the producer said, I guess Max Norman said, no, we just want that part that goes over and over. I'd love to hear the original version that he originally recorded that album. That'd be really cool. I wonder if it exists still.
You know what's amazing about Bark at the Moon too? In his entire career, Ozzy never really wrote songs, but for Bark at the Moon, somehow he had this epiphany and wrote every song completely by himself. All songs written by Ozzy Osbourne. It's amazing that bolt of lightning he had on that record. Incredible.
Do you know how he did that, Brad?
What's that?
Yeah. No, he said,
Brad's not touching it.
I mean.
All right, let's. What are we doing? We gonna let Brad go?
Yeah.
Finish up, right? Brad, thank you so much, man. Always great to hang with you and talk with you, man. We love you.
Hey, thanks. I love hanging out with the three guitarists. I was trying to give you a nickname to three of you. But hey, man, look forward to coming to your 40-year anniversary. That's awesome.
Yeah, and if you want to jam, I'll set you up. We'd love to have you play one too, but I appreciate you coming out.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Bring your nuts on.
You, man. That's awesome. I'm going to come out early and check out a Raider game on Sunday, and then see you guys on Monday. Looking forward to that, and just hitting Vegas, man. Hopefully the casinos will be open.
Hey, Brad, real quick. Your 49ers play the Giants tomorrow night. Any predictions? Said he's a big Giants fan.
The Niners are doing great, man. I'm totally into the Niners. I'm a Raiders-Giants guy. Giants, like he puts his hat on, I say Giants.
Right.
I'm a Niner Raider guy, but I've always been a Raider guy since 1975. And I used to hang out with John Matuszak and Kitty Stabler and
Nice.
Dave Casper. I bought 6 vintage Martin guitars from Dave Casper back in the day, man. And just great guy. And, I've been on the field for Raider games. And, once a Raider fan, always a Raider fan. So,
he's a Raiders guy. He doesn't care about tomorrow then. He's fine.
Oh, no. Because I dig the Niners, man. They're local. They're great. And I can only follow the Raiders around to only 2 or 3 cities. So they're on their third, after LA back here, and now they're in Vegas. So, but I want to check out the new Allegiant Stadium. Looking forward to that. But
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah. All right, Brad. Thanks, man.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks,
Good
Brad.
seeing you. Say hi to the guys.
Hey, Brad.
He's great.
There he goes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Love that guy. Love that band.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Don. Thanks for watching that clip. If you'd like to see more stuff like that, check out these clips right here. And hey, why not join up, become a member, hit that join button, and you'll get access to exclusive content. Content.